This video is first primarily for that Frankie 20 years ago. You're holding someone who can make a big impact in the society. Lot of planning is there, but unfortunately, it is wrong information. So there are some financial mistakes which parents make. Where do I invest? Start investing. Invest in your child. Their financial future is important. What you do for their education is all important, but this is the core. This is the most important thing. I held her for the first time. Remember, in your hand, you're holding your future generations. So it was January 2004, and my world would be changed forever. My first daughter was born. And what a moment! What a moment to see the baby born. I was with my wife at the time of delivery in Hyderabad, and I saw my daughter. I held her for the first time, but I didn't know what I was holding. I had no clue. I had read books. I had heard about parenting. I had seen parents with babies, but I had no clue what is going to happen. What is the huge responsibility I have towards my daughter, towards her emotional well-being and her financial well-being. Both of these I had no clue. I didn't have any plan. I wish, while I was making this video, I realized, I wish I could have watched this very video myself. Not all, but there are a few important things that I wish I had known. And so this video is first primarily for that Frankie 20 years ago who needed this advice. So my video is for him. And if you are also in that same place, either your wife or you as a wife are about to deliver or will deliver a baby in the next few months, few weeks, or a few days. Or if you've already delivered, or if your wife has already delivered, what is it that is required? You're holding someone who can make a big impact in the society. Someone who can bring mighty changes in this world, which needs a change. So anything can happen, but unless you as a couple plan this, it can't happen. It is said that paddy has to be cultivated, weeds grow. So friend, my dear friends, you have to cultivate. And I'm telling you, I'm sitting here and telling you, after 20 years of having two daughters, my second daughter, 20 years of one daughter, and my second daughter was born in 2007. So almost 17 years. And I'm sitting here and telling you, not as a parenting expert, someone who has expertise in parenting. And I'm not telling you some theory today. I'll be telling you some real stuff. Yes, I have made mistakes, and that's what I don't want you to commit, those very mistakes. Yes, but by and large, I thank God that we are today a satisfied family. My wife and my two daughters. Even now, in the teenagers and early 20s, we sit together as a family almost every day, reading our Bible and talking. And it's one of the best feelings that you can have. Children who are emotionally healthy and also who understand money and who know what to do when they get their first job. I hope they will apply all the teaching that we have given as parents. And I want you, my friend, it's a very important topic, it's a very important video. Watch till the end, and as always, I emphasize, please sit as a couple. Obviously, this is about raising a lovely child, a lovely boy or a girl, whom you have been entrusted, whom you have been given by God as stewards. Remember, you will be taking care of your child for the next 15, 20 years. And after that, they are gone. They will be gone, having their own world. And you have to deposit today. Today you have to deposit, you have to invest in your child. And that will grow and grow and bear fruit one day. And so nice, right? To see a healthy child, someone who's useful to this society, someone whom not only you but even God is proud about. Yes, so once again, take your notebook and your pen, make some notes, and I'm going to share with you today about how to raise your child emotionally and financially healthy. They need and they deserve a good emotional and financial future. So this video will be in two parts. The first part, I'll focus on emotions, how to build that relationship, just like your marriage, how to build your relationship with your children. And the second part, which will be a bigger part, I'll talk about the financial, how to do, what to do about, how to take care of the finances, and how to plan for the financial future of your child. And I'm hoping my wife also will share some of her inputs, because she's the one who raised our daughters for many, many years. She sacrificed her career and she raised our daughters. Of course, this video is not to tell you that sacrifice your career, but what is it that you can sacrifice so that your children can benefit? Okay, so let's get into this very important video. Please stay till the end. And if you are watching me for the first time and if you've not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And you can watch all my earlier videos and my upcoming videos. I'll be talking on money and marriage and family. Okay, let's get started. Right. So it's a very important topic. And so let me begin with the emotional part. Now, parenting, when we talk about parenting, a lot of families are focused just on the children. But friends, children comes second. What first comes is your own marriage, your relationship, your marriage. The health of your marriage will determine the health of your children and your parenting. So first point I would like to say is that a good marriage leads to good parenting. Remember, good parenting begins with a good marriage. You and your spouse, you should both be loving to each other. You should be working on your own marriage, not just for your own self, but also for your children, for your next generation. So it is very important that your marriage is good. The best gift that a parent can give to a child is show that they love their spouse. That means a father should show that he loves his mother, or the mother should show that she loves her father. So it's very, very important. An article in Guardian, researchers found that marital conflict adversely affect the couple and also the children. How they affect? The emotional effects on children. Emotional insecurity, poor academic performance, anxiety issues, mood problems, mental health problems. So friends, to begin with, your child needs a better emotional future, and it all begins with you. You both. If there is constant conflict in your marriage, please find someone who can help you. A counselor, a friend, and sort this out. If you want your children to be healthy, the only way they can be healthy is when your marriage is healthy. So please, friends, don't delay. Yes, their financial future is important. What you do for their education is all important, but this is the core. This is the most important thing. Please, please take this very seriously. So I want you to think very differently about your parenting. We all want to grow our wealth. We all want to invest. And you have been watching my channels, you have been watching several other YouTube videos talking about investment. But today I want to tell you something very, very important. Invest in your child. Start today. Invest in your child. Remember, the earlier you do any investment, the higher the compounding will be. And when your child grows in the teenage years and in the 20s, you will actually see the compounding. So think that you are investing. So think that you are investing. So, parents, husband and wife, I'm telling you, invest. Invest in your child because this investment will grow exponentially. Now, what do you invest? And that is what I'm going to tell you. What all you can invest. So, this is something that I've learned from my investment experience as a financial coach and my 30 years of experience in the financial services, that you have to invest early. And same goes with your family. Same goes with your children. You need to invest early. अपने बच्चों पे जल्दी निवेश करें, मतलब जल्दी जल्दी निवेश करें. जितना जल्दी होगा उतना अच्छा है. Fast, the sooner the better. And what is it that you need to invest? And this is something I've purely learned from our own experience of 20 years of parenting. What we did in the earlier years, where we failed, where we got up, right? The first thing what we did is teach them about God. We believe in God, we believe in the God of the Bible. So we read the Bible. It's up to you what you teach. If you do not believe in God, I have nothing to say. I believe in this generation, when there is lack of character, falling morals, this is so important. And we taught our children right from the beginning, right from when they were small, we taught them about God. Emotional bonding, touch, time, talk, listen, play. Now, I won't talk much about this. I would expect, I've told my wife to spare some time to talk about this. She is a speech therapist and she's with children all the time. She loves, even in the church, she's with the children. In her workplace, she's with children. She's especially with the autistic children. And she has a vast experience. So I would leave this to her. How important is emotional bonding right from day one? Protect them from abuse. Friends, we've heard n number of stories of abuse. Girl child or boy child. It's these days it is not much different. So friends, we had two girls and we were very careful. My wife was full time with them. She, as I mentioned, she quit her job so that she could take care of the children. Of course, she worked when they would go to school. She would do part time lecturing and then she would come back home when the kids are at home. Ensure that there is no abuse. And of course, there are many other things that she wanted, but this is very important. You have to protect right from early days because research tells that children who are abused have very difficult adulthood. When they are adults, they have found that there are people, one of the consequences of abuse is obesity, not taking care of your health, not able to exercise. So if you want emotionally healthy children, please invest in their emotional future. Discipline and boundaries, independence and autonomy. You must give your children that independence and also that autonomy. At the same time, discipline and keep boundaries because that will help them to stay emotionally stronger. Yes, even when they grow old, they will know how to obey authorities in their workplace, on the streets, on the road. with the government, all that. It is very important that they maintain the right boundaries. Invest early, teach them interpersonal relationship and the right expression, because this is going to help them. Very important that they understand how to express correctly and how they interact with people. So important in our current world, especially on social media and in offices everywhere. Interpersonal relationship is so important. What you write, what you talk is so important. And if you, as parents, invest in their emotional future, teaching them these things, they will be better, responsible citizens. Especially about expression, we have heard so much about road rage. So, our children have to be taught how to express correctly. Habit of learning, reading, telling stories. And my wife and I, we have actually helped them in the Sunday school, because that is where in churches they teach in Sunday school. Habit of learning, right from the early days, my wife would actually tell them stories, and she will talk about screen time. So I leave that to her. I don't want to steal her thunder. Habit of learning, teaching them, reading them books, showing them stories, pictures, and also then teaching them to read on their own. Both my daughters love reading. They read very thick books. I haven't read, but they love reading. They love reading and they also love writing. In fact, couple of my books and my writings, both my daughters have edited. So it is all because right from the day one, my wife was inculcating this habit. And this will actually help them to be emotionally stronger, emotionally stable, emotionally intelligent. Work ethics and attitude. Teach them right in the beginning, invest on them, tell them how important it is to work hard. And finally, help them right in the beginning to discover their gifts and talents, their personality, self awareness, their love languages. If you don't know what is love languages, you can check Dr. Gary Chapman's book, Five Love Languages. Please read. Please read. This will help your marriage and it also help your parenting. Please this. Discover their gifts and talents. Invest early in this, friends. As parents, as father and mother, you'll do a great good. They need a good emotional and financial future, and this will help them. And just like investing, you invest early, you also have to invest regularly. Invest regularly. Now, as we think about investing, right? Investing for your children, investing in your children, invest early in their life. Those first 2, 3 years are so crucial. And then invest regularly in your children over the years. And just like SIP, systematic investment planning, our children will be the reflection of our investment. So, what to invest regularly in your children? Communicate, talk, 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 talk. Yes, there is a lot of talking to do. My wife will tell about it. Family time. This is something that I still cherish because my kids, who are who is seven, one is 20 years old, 20 and a half, the other is almost 17, and we spend family time every night. And we call it family altar because we sit together, we read the Bible, and we discuss all contemporary topics. We discuss about everything that's happening in their lives, even about sex. Friends, you want strong children, emotionally strong children. And their emotional strength comes from their family time. Play with them. We spent a lot of time playing with our children, taking them to uh, parks. My wife would ensure that she would take them to parks. In fact, then we bought a house You can watch my video on 3 properties. The third property that I'm talking about is this house where we are living, and there are a lot of parks around here within the township. So it's very important to play with them. We have played with them. I have played with them, you know, the father, rough playing, and as the mother, gentle and caring. That is so important. Playing with them to make them emotionally strong. Discipline consistently. We talked about it. Invest early, right in the beginning. Teach them to discipline, but also consistently. Show them love and grace, not just discipline and punishment, but also show them your love, show them your grace. This is the way they'll be emotionally stable and stronger. Show them grace. Grace means unmerited favor. Whenever I think about grace, I think about what God has done for me. It's what Jesus did for me on the cross. And same way, I think, I tell my children, I show them grace. I don't always punish them, but also show them grace and love. Fill their love tanks. The 5 love languages, these are 5 tanks, and 1 or 2 are very big tanks. They need to be filled. And what are the 5 love languages? Words of affirmation, which means appreciation. Quality time. Third is giving gifts. Fourth is acts of service. Fifth is touch. So your children may have 1 or 2 big tanks. Fill them. You want to know, learn more? You can watch or you can read this book, 5 love languages. Weekend outings and vacations. This will really bless them. Bless them. They will be emotionally and socially stronger, healthier. Spend time. Don't be so busy with your work, husbands especially, that you forget to do this. Teach them stewardship. Show them that they don't own anything in this world. It's all given by God, and all that the country or the society has given us. And we need to give it back. We need to be servants. We need to have that servant attitude. This way, our children will be able to think better, feel better. And you, as parents, can invest in this. Now, one question you may have here is, or you may be assuming that it is the mother who should spend more time with the child. Is that true? That's not true. Both the father and the mother have to give their time. Yes, we are living in a generation, we are living in times where both the husband and wife have careers. So both will be hard pressed on time. When my children grew up, I was in my full-time career, and my wife was focused on the children. So it was much easier. But that did not mean that I didn't have to spend time. As a father, I have a huge role to play. And as a mother, my wife had a huge role to play. So my wife spent a lot of time, which was important, but I also spent time after coming from work, and in weekends and vacations. I spent a lot of time with my children. After God, my wife, and then my children, and then my career. Yes, I've sacrificed a lot of things in my job, in my career, so that I could give time to my family. So, friends, especially if you both are very, very busy, you need to take out time. Both of you have to take out time. Research tells that both the father's role and the mother's role is very, very important. Especially fathers, do not think that you can get away with saying that I'm working hard for the family. No. Just read this, what researchers tell. See what it tells about a mother's role. A mother's physical and emotional presence provides babies with 2 things: protection from stress and emotional regulation, both of which are important to healthy brain development and the child's future well being. Mothers, especially working mothers, Spend as much as time as possible with your children, touching them, feeling them, hugging them. My second daughter was a premature baby. And when she was born, she was a tiny 1.4 kg, less than 1.5 kgs. A tiny girl, she was in the incubator. And when they got her out of the incubator, this hospital in Hyderabad called Fernandez Hospital, what they said is very important and they made her do it. They taught something called kangaroo mother care, where the baby is put on the mother's breast and tied. You know why? So that the child, because of the touch, the feeling of the heartbeats, and the touch and that hug and that warmth will make this child grow in physical weight and also emotionally healthier. So important. The mother's touch and hug. Mothers, please. Yes, a financial future is very important. Great education is very important. Good clothes and good shoes and good school bag is all important. That is secondary. This is more important. This is where you're laying the foundation for a great future. And what about fathers? What does research tells about fathers? Studies show that when fathers are more involved in infancy, their kids are less likely to show symptoms of mental health problems at age 9. Fathers and male role models are more likely than mothers to be a baby's play partner. Fathers' play tends to be more active and energetic than mothers' play with infants. This may help children to explore and be independent. Fathers, I know you're all busy with your career, growing in your career, making a lot of wealth, investing in mutual funds and stocks. Invest first in your sons and daughters, because what you can do, the mothers can't do. You have a huge role to play. Can you commit, fathers and mothers, right now? Maybe write in the comment box, yes, we agree, and we would like to make our children emotionally healthier and stronger. Would you like to write and commit today? Write in the comment box and say, yes, we will make our sons and daughters emotionally healthier, stronger, and we want a great emotional future for them. Will you?
Hi, I'm Shabina Fernandez, wife of Frankie Fernandez. I'm a speech therapist for the past 23 years, and I'm a mother of 20 years. We would all like to give our very best to the newborn babies and our children. I wanted to give the very best for my daughters 20 years back as a mother, as a parent. It is researched and it is agreed upon that a child has to be exposed to 10,000 words for the first 1,000 days of the child's life. It can be the things that the child eats, the child that plays with, the things around him or her. It can be the people the child interacts with. Exposing them to this vocabulary and language is going to help the child have the later good speech and language developed in them. It is also important to provide at least 30 hugs, physical touches to the child. It can be hugs, it can be kisses, it can be cuddles, it can be massages, it can be dancing together. Those are very crucial for the emotional and the nervous system to develop and the social development of their child. So that is a very, very important point. Third thing that I would like to emphasize is zero screen time for the first 2 years of the child. American Pediatric Association warrants that the child should not be exposed to screen time for the first 2 years of the child. It can be mobile phones, laptops, tabs, TV, any kind of screen time. Please do avoid it and replace it with physical activity and your very presence, which is very, very crucial for the child. Create memories. Creating memories with your child is going to go a long way. Yeah, it can be expensive if you can afford. It need not be expensive. Dancing, going to dancing together, going out for a picnic, or just in the neighborhood, walking around, meeting friends, meeting family members, and you can plan it out. Going to the play zone, have that quality time with a child, make memories, and those will be rewarding. We've enjoyed it for the past 20 years and 16 years when we had the second child. I hope you too apply these principles and strategies. It will go a long way. Happy parenting. Thank you.
Now that we have covered the emotional side of the children, let's now look at the, I'm sure this is the more interesting part for you, how to plan their financial future. And when we talk about their financial future, there are a couple of things, and we will look at each of them right from the time the baby is born till the time the baby or your child leaves your home. It is your responsibility, emotionally and financially. And unless you plan it, you cannot, you will never be able to give the best to your child. In fact, it includes a lot of things, and which we will see in a short while. So, first thing, before we discuss anything, let's go back to the basics, the fundamentals that I've always been talking about, and a lot of the financial coaches, financial planners talk about. And that is the basic thing is budgeting. So, it start with budgeting for your recurring costs of the new baby. Now, if you're not used to budget your expenses, actually these expenses can really throw you out of gear. You will actually lose a lot of your money. You will have actually challenges. You will have sudden expenses, and you will struggle during this phase of your life. So the first thing I would recommend strongly is start budgeting. If you are at a stage where your baby is not yet born, start this process immediately. You must budget. You must have a budget for your expenses, your living expenses, which is all your basic stuff, groceries and your gas and water and travel and all that, which is very basic, necessary. And then your lifestyle expenses like your shoes and clothes and eating out or Swiggy, Zomato, whatever. So those are the lifestyle expenses. And also your EMIs and your loan EMIs, your insurance premiums, they're all in the living expenses. So now you must have a budget, and there should be a budget which is savings and maybe contributions or giving, generosity. So all that should be budgeted. Because if you haven't budgeted, the moment the baby is born, in fact, even before that, you have to pay for the delivery expenses. Of course, if you have an insurance, health insurance, you must have an health insurance. Your health insurance mostly will take care of all your hospital expenses. But the moment the baby comes home, then your other expenses begin. And for that sake, you must budget. So please start that immediately, because you will have to budget for all the recurring expenses. Now, what are the recurring expenses that can be there for the baby? The immediate recurring expenses for the baby is the food, like the formula milk. If the baby is not breastfed, formula milk and other things that you need to buy for the baby, the food, the clothes, new clothes, the diapers, which will be a big expense, the recurring hospital visit costs, the vaccinations, and taking care of the baby, the health, the medical expenses. And also, if you want to buy some cradles or a furniture or a pram or whatever, all these are expenses that you must. Now, furniture or a cradle could be a one-time expense, but the rest of them are recurring expenses. So you must budget. And how much does it cost, all these? Let me just refer you to some articles. So I was referring to some articles, and there is this one article which I read, Financial Goal, How to Plan Your Newborn's Future Over the Years. I strongly recommend go through this article by Shilpa Bhaskar. Uh, she is the founder and chief finance wellness coach, Nerdy Bird Financial Wellness. So here she's actually talking about all the various expenses that you have to envisage. For example, she talks about here. So the number one we think we're looking at here is the cost of food. A lot of mothers breastfeed their child, and here she says that nothing less than 4 to 5 thousand per month. So this is a fairly recent article, December 2023. So there is this. So there is this article on adityabirlacapital.com, the cost of raising a child in India. This is in 2019. Of course, now the prices have gone up because of inflation, which is this is 5 years. 5 years ago, this article was published 5 years ago. So this article talks about the cost of raising a child in India and how much money is required. And basically, the costs here are calculated based on the expenses of a high earning couple. So it may be different for you. Here, it also gives you the cost of prenatal care, that is before the baby is born, and also the cost of child delivery. I'm skipping that. You can refer to this article, but I would like you to focus on this: the cost of raising an infant, that is from 0 to 2 years. Here it says the monthly pediatrician and physician visits, vaccinations, diapers, toys, massage person, nanny, nutritious food for the mother, birthday parties, gifts, etc. So these are the first few years of a child's life requires extensive medical care. So this is 4,99,200 from 0 to 2 years, plus inflation in the last 5 years. So here it is given the pediatrician's fees, the average cost 475 each, 950. So 4 visits during the period, bringing the total estimate. So here is the pediatrician fees, the vaccination cost of diapers, and the massage and the birthday. So these are the expenses of a child who's 0 to 2 years, and then the cost of raising a toddler. So before I go there, I just want you to focus on this, because these are the immediate recurring expenses for the baby. So you must set aside the expenses from in the initial, at least for the next few months, 6 months or so. You should ensure that this is part of your budget if you want your baby to get a decent care. I'm not saying you should give the best and the most expensive, but something that the baby will be happy emotionally and not challenged or struggling or crying all the time just because some of the basic stuff are not taken care. So it is your responsibility, especially I would tell the husband, the father, you are the one who has to take care. Ensure that all the needs are supplied for your wife and for your son or daughter. Now, the other expenses, like the short to medium term expected expenses, the creche, the play school, the kindergarten. Now, this is also an important part of the expenses which you need to budget. And these will come 3 years later. And how do we budget them? How do we ensure that you have that much money? So I'll take you through a very basic calculation in an Excel, and I've also given a link for that. You can download, and you can go to that Google sheet and download it as an Excel file. I'll show you how to use that. Very important. That will help you to project your expenses in the next 2 or 5 years, and how much you must start saving right now. I've already done a video in the past, but here, because of this specific video, I'm going to actually do it again, and you can download this Excel. Now, if you look at that same article, it also talks about raising a toddler 2 to 3 years. Now, this is 2 to 3 years. That is 2 years later. So I will show you how to budget, how to plan for that, and start saving right now. So that when your child is a toddler and when you have to probably use a creche or a play school or kindergarten, you have the money and you don't struggle and you don't have to take loans, right? I've always mentioned in my videos, never take loans for all these expenses. Remember, remember that now you have an additional member in your home, so your budget should have a budget for 3 people, right? And when you have a second child, 4 people. Right now, what you have to be staying focused on is the immediate expenses, which we talked about, the the diapers and the food and clothes, etc. For the next 2 years, I'll show you, giving an example a little later, and then once you hit that 2 years, it should become a part of your budget. Those expenses should become a part of your budget because they will be recurring expenses for the rest of their school life and college life. So you must budget them as school fees. It's very, very important. So again, let me repeat. Immediate expenses, you have to budget for the next 6 months, 1 year. You must budget for the 2 years expenses. We have to have a financial goal and plan how much we have to save it from today. And once you hit that, it should become a part of your day-to-day expenses. And the downside is, the flip side is, if you do not budget, if you do not plan, if you do not set aside, it'll affect somewhere or the other. Either it'll affect your child's well-being or it'll affect your own well-being. You will be struggling for finances and you will end up taking loans. So it's very important that you plan. In fact, ideally, you should plan before the child is born. All this planning, all this budgeting has to be done before that. And if required, you will have to cut down your expenses ruthlessly. Cut down all the unnecessary expenses. For example, some subscriptions, some entertainment, or some magazines, or cable, or whatever. Rethink, revisit your expenses and ask yourself, do you need these? Do you need that internet subscription that you have running into thousands? Do you need that, or can you bring it down? And all the other expenses, eating food outside or anything, please take care, because this phase of your life can throw you out of gear and you can end up into loans and other unnecessary financial implications. And now we come to the financial future that we talked about. Among the expenses that parents spend on their children, one of the biggest expenses is their undergrad studies, engineering, medicine, or psychology, or journalism, or whatever. Undergrad studies and postgraduate studies. Very important that you plan for these. If you do not plan, you will not be able to give the best of education to your child, to your children. And if they want, they may have to take huge loans, educational loans. So it's your responsibility. Your children need and they deserve a good financial future. So what do? Again, I will take you through the Excel, because that is the best way to find out how much you will need. Because today, if the engineering fees are 15 lakh, for example, for 4 years, how much will it be 18 years later when your child is getting into, or when your child gets into undergrad studies? How much? And for the post graduation, and if you want your child to study abroad, what happens? It is so important that you have the right financial plan. Sadly, I have come across so many young families, especially I've come across families in their 40s and their 50s who are struggling because they never had a plan. If you are in your 30s, early 30s, you are in the best place in the right time, a sweet spot, because you can plan the best for your child. I've seen families where they cannot give the best for their children, but you need not. Thankfully, because of the good financial decisions I made in the last decade, that have been helpful for my family, for my children, for my two daughters. I can give them, may not be the best, but decent education. We can, my wife and I, we can give a very good education. Now, in this section, we'll focus on the cost for a child during college, right, from 18 to 20 years. This is a very crucial stage for your child. And this is where a huge chunk of your savings will be gone. So I'll take you through an Excel calculation, how you can do it for your child, and how you can start saving right now. Let's go to the Excel. This is an Excel sheet that I have prepared it myself. I'll quickly explain to you what is there in this Excel sheet. Very, very important. And this will help you nail down the problem, take away all your anxieties, and you'll be more confident and empowered, right? So this is the sheet. Let's first look at this. Funds required number of years from today. If you have a newborn, that means here the number should be 18 years. Next 18 years, this money will be required. So let's refer back again to that article. So here it says that the cost for child during college, 18 to 21 years. So this is commerce. By the way, I was a commerce student, and my daughter is doing her medicine. My elder daughter is doing a medicine. My second daughter may want to do something else. She's planning to pursue psychology. Uh, for pursuing psychology, the expenses will be slightly less than this. So let's take medicine. Okay, let's take medicine and we'll take the numbers which are given here. The first 3 years of the course, 42 lakhs, clothes, games, pocket money, vacations, etc. Let's assume this number. You can take your own number. You can find out what is it currently. And if you're thinking of engineering, probably engineering will be slightly less. Think of engineering. Let's take a look at the medical, right? Medicine. 46. So let's take 47 lakhs. We'll just enter 47. Right. After 18 years, because of inflation, and we've taken inflation as 10%, 10% because usually the college fees, school fees and all go up by 10%. So by then it will be 2.61 crore. You must have this corpus for your child's education, for one child. So what do? Now you have to start investing, start doing an SIP. How much? A 34,000 rupees SIP, which will roughly give you 12%. That is what is our estimate. So this is the calculation. Now, if you think that it is not medical, but probably it is engineering and it may take maybe 20 lakhs. So the 20 lakhs, 18 years later will be 1.11 crore. And how much you need to save? 14,000. Or if you think it is not 20 lakhs, but it is probably 10 lakhs. So then it will be 55 lakhs and you have to save 7,200. And if you have already a child, for example, you already have a child who is probably 2 years or 3 years old. So 18 minus 3 is 15. You can do the same thing here. 15 lakhs will cost 62 lakhs after 15 years. And this is what you have to save. It's very simple. What you need is from your end is find out what is the course fee or what is the likely course you are thinking. Don't take a small number, take a reasonable number because you don't know what your child, what your son or daughter wants to do. whether he or she wants to do medicine or engineering or journalism or psychology, whatever it is. Just find out the course fees for all these 4 years fees, 3 to 4 years fees. What is it? And roughly that is what you have to start saving from today. Now, if you remember, we talked about the crash or kindergarten in the next 2 years or play school. You need to collect some money. Probably you mean or to collect some 5 lakh rupees. The same way you can use this sheet here. Maybe in the next 4 years you need, just put 4 years. And if you need 5 lakhs, if today it costs 5 lakhs for those two years of kindergarten or play school, it will cost you 7 lakhs later. Of course, 4 years, you may not be able to invest in an equity fund 12%. So let's take it as 9%. You may have to invest into a hybrid fund or whatever. So this is what I see. Now, when it comes to financial planning for children, their financial future, not all parents are unplanned. I know many parents are planned, especially in these times. A lot of planning is there. But unfortunately, it is wrong information. They have plans, but with the wrong products. They get probably carried away or influenced by their friends, their relatives, or maybe a banker or somebody who wants to sell a product. So there are some financial mistakes which parents make. Of course, their intention is good out of love for their children. They get carried away. Trust me, even I did that, exactly that. So although I was in the financial services, I have been working only in the mutual fund industry, but I made my own mistakes. That is because of lack of awareness. And with this video, I want to build that awareness. I want you to know the right things, and I will justify why I'm telling so. One, because I have 30 years of experience in this mutual fund industry. And second is, I've been a parent. And third is, now I'm a financial coach. I'm well aware of what's happening. So you can trust me to some extent. Of course, you must vet it. You must validate it through your own financial advisor. Okay, financial advisor, not friend or relative or a banker. Okay. So what are the mistakes? The top of the list is, this is something that even I got carried away, are the child education plans. Now, these child education plans, most of them, or at least the one that I know, are from insurance companies. They are good. They seem to be good products. They have a plan. They also have a risk plan. So it's a combination of investment and insurance. So these are called, in other words, these are also called the ULIP plans. That means unit linked investment plans. Now, what is the problem with these plans? The problem is that they are neither fully investment plans nor fully insurance plans. They're a combination of two. And you end up paying for both, for the insurance, that is the premium you pay, and also for your investment. And they are not good investment products. Not just me, but you will find this across financial planners and advisors who will advise you this. And I have personally gone through this. I have invested in this. And I've realized after several years, I got very less returns, probably 5% returns when I surrendered it. And if I had not surrendered it, I would have still had it, but I would have got subpar returns. I would not have even beaten inflation, my products. So these are sold by insurance agents. So beware, this will not help you. Yes, you may invest in this much later when you have enough of the right products. And I'm going to talk about the right products in my next section. So please do not invest in child education plans. So the next on the list is properties. Now, this is so common. I have so many clients, and I have talked to so many families a lot of them whom are my clients, most of them have properties. And a lot of them say, I have bought this property for my children. When they grow old, they will have a property. Now, it's a great intention. And honestly, they worked hard to buy this house and they are paying the EMIs. All the intention is good. The process also seems good, but the final outcome will not be good. And if you want to know more on why I say do not buy a property, please watch my video, 3 properties, 2 mistakes, and 1 lesson. Watch my video. I have explained exactly why. And by the way, property appreciation in our country in the last 20, 30 years is 6, 7, 8% only. And even if you buy it and give it on rent, remember, it'll give you some 2 to 3% yield, rental yield. So you will barely beat inflation. And the hassles of owning a house and all the paperwork, and also, unfortunately, you take a loan to buy the house. So it further brings down your appreciation. Remember, 7 to 8% appreciation, but you're taking a loan of 9%. So just imagine in the initial years, your returns will be very low or even negative. We've had a few properties and we have tried to sell them, and our daughters have actually seen all this. So our elder daughter one day said, Da and Ma, please don't leave any property in our name. Please don't leave any property for us to manage, because after you are gone, we have to go through all the hassles which you are currently going through. So please only buy mutual funds. And this is the exact advice I would give you. Focus on financial assets. Passing on a house is a big, big hassle. I'm not telling this because I hate properties. They have their place in your portfolio, but please do not overemphasize, especially for your children. Do not think this is the best investment. This is not the best investment, according to me. And then number 3, gold. Now, this is again, I've heard parents, I'm buying this gold, I'm keeping this gold, or I'm purchasing gold on installments for my children. And many do this in our country. In India, there's a craze for gold, and it has a lot of emotional attachments, festivals, and a lot of things go into buying a gold. Unfortunately, buying jewelry is the biggest mistake. So even if you are thinking of gold, not jewelry, at the most physical asset, physical gold, or something else that I'm going to talk about. But do not go for jewelry and do not rush for gold for your child's future. All these 3 which I've mentioned, they have their place, but they are not the right and the priority products. What are the priority products? And that is what I'm going to talk in the next section. I'm sure you're wondering, where do I start investing for my son or daughter? As I earlier mentioned, that we have good intentions, but we use wrong products because of lack of knowledge. So in this section, I'm going to talk to you about the right financial products for your children. They are right because of the past history, our exposure, my exposure, our experience. And that's why I recommend highly these products, even for my clients. Number 1 is SIP, Systematic Investment Plan. Now, if you want to go deeper into it, understand it, the concept and the power of compounding and power of doing an SIP, you can watch my last video on wealth creation is boring. You can watch that video. I have explained in detail. But let me quickly explain to you why I'm recommending this. Number 1, start with a mutual fund. Number 1, always remember that when you're investing, you're trying to beat the market. Sorry. When you're investing, you're trying to beat inflation. Right? The inflation is around 6, 7%. But remember that the education inflation the higher education, the studies, the inflation on schools and colleges is 10 to 12%. So you need to beat that, and you need to be ahead in the game. That's why I recommend, because equities in our market, in our country, have given 15 to 17% in the last 20-30 years. That is number one. So mutual funds will give you slightly higher, because what I'm talking about is the index, right? So if you were to invest in non-index funds, the mutual funds, active mutual funds, you'll get even higher. Number one, so you're beating inflation. Number two, remember that it is the data tells that beyond 7 years, there is no risk in equities. There is no risk in the stock market. Why? Because all the volatility is there in the first few years for your money. By the time you reach 7 years, the money that you invested has actually grown, and there is no risk, because you will not lose. In the first couple of years, the markets go up and down, you may lose. But in the 7 year period, you will not lose. And when we are talking about children's higher studies, it is 18 years later. Remember, if your child is just born, it is 18 years later. So even if your children are probably even 8 years or 10 years, you can still safely invest in mutual fund SIPs. And why am I so bullish or so positive, optimistic about mutual funds and stock markets? Number one is because we have seen in the past, our country has grown over the years. The growth rate, the GDP, we are talking about, the economy is growing, has grown over the years. And that is what is reflected in the stock markets. And that is what is reflected in the mutual funds. Now, looking ahead to the future, do you think that we will do well as a country? Yes, everything indicates that we will do well as a country, regardless of whichever party or whoever leads. Remember that all governments are pro economy. And if you look at all the companies, they're doing well. So when you're investing in mutual funds, you're investing in the businesses. Wouldn't you want to invest in a good business like Infosys, HDFC Bank, Reliance, Tata Motors, Maruti Suzuki? They're all good companies. Would you not be happy to be a shareholder in those companies and to get those profits? And that's what exactly is happening when you invest in mutual funds. So when you invest in SIPs for your children, every month set aside 5, 10,000, you are investing in these companies. You are investing in the economy of the country, which is doing well and which will do well. There are all predictions that we are going to become a very strong nation. So that's why I recommend. And why do I say first? Remember that equities are the engine of growth for your investments. They grow fast. They're like the flight. Rest of the products are like train or buses or cars. And any product which is below the inflation is a bicycle. It'll take you very slowly to your destination. But equities are like the flights. They'll take you fast to your destination. So in the first 10 years, if you set aside 5 or 10,000 just for your children's education, you'll build a very big corpus. And I will show you the calculations in my next section where I'll compare certain products. Right? So number one, I would say start with an SIP for your children's future. Number two, now this Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana is for a baby girl. It is not for boys, it is for girls. It is for a girl child. Now I mentioned here for baby girl after 8 to 9 years, because in Sukanya Samriddhi, you can invest for the girl child until you can start it before she turns 10. You cannot do it after that. And Once you start it, there is a lock-in of 21 years. Of course, you can withdraw it uh, for some very significant milestones, for example, the marriage or studies, right? So it has its own advantages, and it is completely tax free. When you're investing 1.5 lakh is the limit, you get tax exemption. The interest is not taxed throughout the life, and when you withdraw, it is tax free. So it is very advantageous. However, I say 8 to 9 years because in the first 9 years, build your corpus using equities. And as I mentioned, I'm going to show you the calculations. Yes, this is tax free, and SIPs are not tax free, but they are still far more advantageous. Remember, the inflation on studies is 10 to 12%, and Sukanya Samriddhi gives you 8.2 right now. And we are living in times where interest rates are falling. So it may fall further, but in terms of diversification of your portfolio, distributing your portfolio into equities and debt, this could be a good product, but not the best product initially. So first, take the flight. This is like the Rajdhani. This is safe, but this will not give you the best of returns. This will not beat the education inflation, the education fees inflation, but it's a great product. Number 3, sovereign gold bonds. I mentioned, right? Don't buy gold jewelry, but instead you can buy SGB. Now, SGBs, again, I say after 10 years because in the first 10 years, use your equities, then start with Sukanya Samriddhi, and then start with SGB because SGBs again have a lock-in of 8 years. And after 8 years, it's all tax-free. And initially, when you invest certain sum, but you will not get the tax benefit. If you keep it for 8 years, you'll get tax benefit, and every year you'll also get 2.5% interest. So it's a great product. You can save here for your child's future, but only after 10 years. By then, you'll have enough corpus into equities, and then you can diversify into SGBs. This will give you roughly 10 to 11% returns. Of course, this will probably just beat the inflation or just slightly lower than the educational fees inflation. But still a great product. You can consider this after 10 years. So these are the financial products which you can safely invest for your child's future. And you must start now, immediately, when your child is born. Because this is the way you can build a healthy corpus for the financial future of your child. And now I'm going to share with you the calculations. What are the different options and what returns will they give you? In this section, I'll quickly share with you the difference between investing in mutual fund SIPs versus Sukanya Samriddhi. So let's look at this example. So here, if you see, you're investing 12,000 per month in both these schemes. Investment per year is 1,50,000 because that is the maximum allowed in Sukanya Samriddhi. And I've taken the rate of interest, that is the returns, as 12%, modest 12%, because in the last several years, the average returns in mutual funds is not less than 15%. But I'm taking a modest 12%. And Sukanya Samriddhi is 8.2%. The duration for which you can invest is 15 years, but the maturity is 21 years. So let's assume that both in Sukanya Samriddhi and in SIP you're investing for 15 years. And in 21 years, there's a maturity period. And how much do you get in an SIP? You get 1.17 crore, while you get 71 lakhs in Sukanya Samriddhi. The invested amount is 22,50,000. So your capital gains are 94 lakhs in mutual fund SIP, but 49 lakhs. Now, this is completely tax-free in Sukanya Samriddhi, but you have to pay taxes 10% on long-term capital gains, which is 9 lakhs. Despite that, you get 1.07 crores. while you get 71 lakhs in Sukanya Samriddhi, which is roughly 36 lakhs more. And if the interest rates, the rate of returns are more than 12%, for example, if they're 15%, it will be much more. If it is 15%, so this is the difference what you experience when you invest in a mutual fund SIP and a Sukanya Samriddhi. As I mentioned, for the first 9 years, focus on the SIP, and then you can diversify and add Sukanya Samriddhi to your portfolio. While planning for our kids, in the enthusiasm and love, we forget some very, very important parts of the planning. And this financial plan, parents should not ignore. Very, very important. Please make a note. Those are two things you should not ignore. Number one is a term insurance. Second is your own retirement planning. Now, what is the benefit and why am I emphasizing term insurance here? So, term insurance is part of the broad financial plan. It is called as a risk plan. Now, and this is something that I always tell husbands, fathers, it's your primary responsibility to take care of the home. Yes, wives also work, but they are the caretakers at home. You are the one who should be earning and taking care of the financial security. Of course, we are living in different times. Both parents are doing all their bit, but let's accept it. A lot of times, in most times, in many homes, wives are still homemakers. And in other homes where the wife is working, a lot of times wives take a break for their children or for health reasons or for whatever. So it is the husband who takes the load. And so, husbands, out of your love for your children and for your wife, buy a term insurance. If you're in your 30s, 1 crore, 2 crore, 3 crore term insurance, depending on what is your income and what are your expenses. Very important, because this planning is so, so important. I was just watching a video of, we've all seen what happened during COVID. Many fathers died, unfortunately, at a young age, and they left behind wife and children. And many of them did not have a term insurance. Now, I'm not scaring you, or I'm not saying that COVID will happen again or should happen again, but life is so uncertain. It's all God's will. We don't know. Anything can happen anytime. Life is uncertain. And that's why it is very important that you buy a term insurance so that even if you leave this world, your wife and your children will have a good future. And this you do out of your love for them. Yes, every time we buy insurance, this is our hope and prayer that we don't have to use them. Nevertheless, we have to buy it. And second is your retirement planning. Now, this should happen in parallel. You can watch my video on retirement planning DIY. I've explained how you can plan for your retirement using an Excel. So this is something that you should do, because if you're in your 30s, you will retire in your 60s. That means 30 years of savings, investing should happen. They should happen parallelly. On one hand, you do the retirement planning, savings, and on the other is the education, which is high priority. Both are high priority. In fact, if you haven't done any education planning when your children have reached their 18 years, retirement planning is very important. Education, you can take a loan and they can repay, but retirement, who will take care? Now, you're planning, doing all these planning for your financial future of your children. Don't ignore this retirement planning, because if you do not plan your retirement, then you will be dependent on your children. You will put pressure on your children to take care of you. But you can prevent that. You take care of your own future. Times have changed. The world has changed. We should not depend on our children. Let them have their own future. So, if they want to take care of you, well and good. But do not plan that. Plan in such a way that you can take care of your own. In fact, leave an inheritance for your children instead of being a burden on them. So these two must happen in parallel. So we have looked at how to compute the expenses, their college fees, and how much to save. Now that is something which is purely purely a part of the financial planning to accumulate that corpus for a good education. Now, this is the last part, which I believe is also very, very important. This is not computing how much money you need, this is not how much you have to save, but this is something that will last for the rest of their life. Any guesses what that could be? And that is very, very important. And that is the financial literacy, the attitude, the the understanding the value of money. And this is something that parents can teach. As long as you as parents have learned how to manage money, you can teach it to your children. You can pass on this great value. Now, what are the things you can pass on? What are the things you can do? And this is something that we have done as a family. Probably this is something that you should do. You have a small baby now. Your baby will grow. Your baby will observe you. Your child will observe you. And it'll pick up all that he or she sees in you. If you are a spendthrift, your child will become a spendthrift. If you're a saver, your child will become a saver. If you're a giver, your child will become a giver. You can watch my separate video on this, on spending, on giving, on saving, the different money personalities, how these money personalities are formed. You can watch that video. So there is this video on 10 different money personalities. Saver, or is he a spender? You want to pass on a legacy, not to your children only, not just to your children, but also the next generation. So what is more important is financial literacy. Teaching them about money, making them understand money. A lot of times people feel, especially the spiritual people, feel money is evil. But money is not evil. The Bible says the love of money. Money is not evil. The love of money. When you love money, love people, use money. Not the other way. Don't use people and love money. So this is what you need to teach your children. So what are some of the things that we can teach our children and pass on these values so that it will stay with them? Number one, earning. Teach children how to earn money, that money does not come free. Teach them, give them some chores at home. We give our children chores. Yes, no one likes it, but then you must teach them and then reward them. Give them rewards, gifts, and even money for doing something extraordinary. And we have done that. And our children have liked it, loved it. Yes, because I've done it. So this is the way they learn the value of money, that money has to be earned. You cannot have that entitlement mentality, that attitude that I am entitled. No. Teach them saving. Encourage them to save. Show them the power, the benefits of saving. In fact, when our daughter when she was 19 years old, she had heard a lot about investing through mutual funds and all that from me. So one day she said, Da, I want to start investing in mutual funds. And she had some money given from her grandmother had given her, and also we had given her some pocket money. So she decided to save. And she's a very frugal person. So what she does is she doesn't spend much. So she started investing. And I gave her more money to invest. I kept on giving her money and she kept on investing. And that money has now grown. She's got very good returns because the markets have done very well. She invested in mutual funds. And she was so excited about that she went and told all her friends in her class. And then she arranged a financial planning session for her friends. where I taught them how to invest, where to invest, what to do. She realizes, even my second daughter realizes the importance of investing. So our second daughter also said, I also want to start investing. Spending. Set expectations for spending. Teach them how important is spending. That you can't just spend whenever and whatever you like on. Be careful. In fact, when they were small, we used to help them, especially in supermarkets, teach them. And, we would say, both my wife and I would say that you can buy anything, but only one product. Only one product. And that too with certain value, 100 or 200 rupees. So they would pick up several products, but finally they knew that they had to only buy one. So teach them on spending, help them. Needs versus want. And this is exactly very related to the earlier point of spending. So our kids learned when they picked products, what is the need? What is the necessity? What is it that you first need? And what are wants? And we often talk about it. And now our kids are grown up, teenager and early 20s. So we are able to talk these things. Budgeting, teach them, tell them that you must think before you buy. You just don't buy impulsively. You must plan. Giving. Now, as a Christian, we are taught from the Bible to give. Give 10% and even more, 10% of your income. And this is what we've also taught our children. That giving is very important. Generosity is very important. This money that you have doesn't belong to you. It is given by God. And you have now earned it. You have got the capacity to earn it. Not just for yourself, but even for the others who cannot. There are the poor. There are the handicapped. There are those children who are not so privileged. You have to give them. Teach them. Delayed gratification. Now, this is one of the favorite words in our home now. And our daughters, one of our daughters keeps reminding, yes, I want to delay my gratification. I want to eat this later. I want to buy this later. This is a very important value you can teach. Avoid loans. Teach them. This is a very, very important thing. I cannot overemphasize this because a lot of the young families whom I've interacted have loans. And a lot of them, I'm helping them to come out of these loans. They took loans, left, right, and center. No. So teach your children. And this is something which is ingrained in my children. I've told them, never, never take loans except for home. Because all the other loans are bad loans. Not save, invest, and then buy. Financial responsibility. Include them in conversations about finances. Now our children are grown. So there are times when we have talked. In fact, during COVID, I was traveling. So I had that sense of insecurity. I was wondering, I don't know what is going to happen. So I had already had those insurances, but then I wanted to explain to our children how much money we have for their education, for their future, and for our retirement, and where are they, in which portals they can find these, because most of our investments are into equities, mutual funds. So include them. Friends, very, very important what I just talked. It is your responsibility. You have a small baby right now. You may be wondering, this is too early. No, remember that your child's money personality is formed at home. You can watch my video on money personality. Why am I a spender or a saver or a giver? That is the title. And then 10 personalities, 10 money personalities. Is she a spender? Is he a spender? So these are some of the videos you can watch. How our money personality is formed. It is formed in our homes. And your children will imitate you. They will do exactly what you're doing, not what you're telling them. So it's very important that you imitate the right values, the right value system. So now we've come to the last segment of this video where we will summarize what we have done so far. Let's take a quick look at what is it that we have done both on the emotional and the financial side. So let's first look at the emotional. What did we cover so far? Number one, we talked about good parenting begins with a good marriage. So good marriage will actually help you kick off your journey as as good parents. We also saw the emotional effects on children from conflicts at home. So a home which is filled with conflicts have adverse impact on the children. So it's very important that we take care of the emotional future of our children. And that all begins at home in a peaceful environment. We talked about investing early in your child. For example, the fear of God and the protecting your child, teaching your child to read, and knowing their love languages. All that we need to do early. Disciplining, and so many things we covered. Then investing in your child regularly communicate, have family time regularly, play with your child, and uh, fill their love tanks, and so many things. They are important. They're all important in the healthy development of a child, the emotional development. Then we also talked about how important is mother's care and how important is a father's care. Both are important, both have their place. We cannot ignore the father's play and the mother's care. Right? So this is about the emotional side. Then we covered the financial. What did we cover? We say that to begin with, you should start with a budget. Budget all your recurring expenses of the new baby, even before the baby arrives. Then immediate recurring expenses for the baby. We talked about all the basic things: the food, the groceries, the pram, and then the diapers. So all that, even the vaccination, all that has to be covered. Then short to medium expected expenses, like your expenses for in the next 3-4 years, the creche and the play school, the kindergarten, all that, where there'll be huge expenses. We covered that. We also talked about the financial mistakes which parents commit by investing in wrong products. Then we talked about the right financial products, and in the right financial products, we covered the how to plan for the children's education primarily, and also their marriage expenses, etc. How you can use SIPs and other financial products, and very important, where parents cannot ignore, especially their insurance and their retirement planning. And finally, teaching children financial literacy and values on money. So we have covered a lot of ground in this. Of course, we have not gone into depth. And there is one thing which I wish I could have covered is, what if you find out that your child is a special child? There are special needs for your child. Now, this topic is something close to me and my wife. My wife actually works with children who have autism, and she has a very soft corner and a heart for children with special needs. So what we will do, probably we will do a separate video focusing only on special needs children. So we've covered so much in this. I don't know what stage of your parenting you are. Either you are about to give birth to your child, or you have a newborn baby, or you have a toddler or slightly grown up children. I'm sure there is something to learn, something that you have learned. Of course, we covered a lot of ground, a lot of breadth, but may not be depth. I hope you will apply all these things that you have learned into your parenting. Remember, both are important, the emotional and the financial side. What do you think about this video? I hope this added value to you. If you think I have added some value to your life, I request you to show me with a like. And I would really appreciate if you can also comment and let me know what is it that you liked? What is it that you wish I had covered? And if you think this video can help someone else, some other parent, please forward this video, the link to this video. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe and be a part of this community. I want to produce more and more videos. You can give your suggestions in the comment box. What is it that you would like? My focus is on young families. My mission is to help young families build their marriage and their wealth. So, which also includes your precious wealth, your children. So, hope to see you soon. See you in the next video.